keeping you busy today? You had a busy day?
Yeah, I've what have I been doing? Doing a lot of band business because we
Mm.
released a record a couple of weeks ago, so a lot of promo, digital streaming stuff. We had a bit of airplay with BBC, so been doing a bit of promo for that. Yeah, just there's always something popping up, keeping me busy.
That's what I was thinking, because obviously we're in the post-release kind of period, basking in the warm glow of it. We're only into the third week of it being released now, and the kind of senses I think from a lot of people will be things should be beginning to calm down now, but that's not the case, right? It's still just kind of push, push, push.
Oh yeah, I mean you gotta push with all these things, like releasing it is not just like the work's finished. That's kind of
Mm.
where it ends, and obviously great guys like yourself having me on, along for a chat is all part and parcel of it. So yeah, I mean, you just gotta you just gotta keep working and literally flogging the horse until you can't get any more out of it.
I say we can use the term like the dust settling on it, like slowly but surely from this point onwards now, it's dust will slowly settle, but we are 6, 12, maybe even 18 months down the line before we fully see what it looks like with that dust on it. Because at this stage, particularly as well, when you're looking at the album from a reaction perspective, are people enjoying it, what they're thinking? It's been incredibly positive, but it's still very early days. So far, are you satisfied with what you've been kind of seeing, the reaction to the album?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We've had some very positive feedback. Obviously, you can it can always be worse. So, people are listening to it, people are liking it, people are saving it, people are sharing it. I can't really complain. And it's with anything. It's a piece of creative content. You cannot control how people are going to react to it. You just gotta be of the frame of mind. You put your best foot forward, and the rest is literally let God take the wheel.
Well, that's it. It's a child, isn't it? You send it out into the world. It's walking on its own 2 feet now. Not a lot you can do except watch and hope.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can, yeah, a few training wheels. You can obviously go play some shows, do some interviews, do some promo. Do a bit of online meta advertising, all that kind of stuff. But none of it's guaranteed. And if you expect amazing results, you'll probably be disappointed. But we've been around for a very long time, playing different bands and stuff. We kind of know the deal. So, like I said, we tried to come up with as best. I hate to use the term product, but
Mm.
best thing we could at the time with the budget we had, with the ideas we had, and you know, give yourself the best chance possible, and then the rest is pretty much down to chance, luck, people you meet, whatever.
I get that. You said yourself it's far from your first rodeo, but even then, no matter how much you've learned, how much you know, there's just that little bit of luck involved in it, unfortunately. But it is still all about trying to get as many ears on it. That's the thing, and that can be influenced by you to some degree. Do you have a sort of long-term plan right now on how to kind of push, promote the record over the next couple of months, a sort of strategy?
We do actually. We've got
Mm.
a couple more. I wouldn't say, because people talk about singles, and singles are normally something you release before the record, but because our release of the actual album was probably delayed by a year and a half for various reasons, we actually already kind of released two or three singles prior to release. So we're going to do what we call focus tracks. So we'll come up with, maybe some kind of we've got a plan. When I say some kind, we know exactly what we're doing. A couple of tracks,
Mhm.
videos, and then obviously then you put campaigns behind that. And then, we're looking at some live shows for next year as well. So, and then obviously, t taking any other avenues that come up as well, which is the opportunities always present themselves. It's just a matter of taking them or not.
Hopefully, some cool ones come your way that interest you enough.
Oh no, I mean, and that's my problem is um, my bandmates sometimes have to rein me in a bit because I love playing live. I like doing promo. I like doing interviews, and they're like, Come on, dude, you cannot do everything. You need
Mm.
to, chill a bit." So, but yeah, I'm up for everything. That's which is blessing and a curse.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you the fact you're kind of, I guess, at least aware that you kind of do sometimes do too much is a good thing.
Yeah, I'm fully aware. I mean, like, I'm just like, oh, again, same
I mean,
mistakes.
yeah, but you're creative, right? I mean, that's the thing. You create art, you're creating music, you're doing all these other things. Ultimately, your mind's going to be constantly buzzing with things. I guess for you, you kind of have to let it loose, right? Otherwise, what would happen?
I'm just a big weirdo.
Fair enough. Uh,
If I'm honest, like, yeah, it comes out one way or another, and I think
mm.
it's much better when it's channeled through a positive creative outlet.
Fair point. Fair. Talking of then creative outlets, and we got to go back a bit, really to like the album's earliest point, and it's really about vision. Specifically, what your initial vision for the album might have looked like in its earliest form. Was there one?
Yeah, we kind of had so going back even slightly further. So like 2018, we released our first album, self-titled Temples on Mars, and we'd only really been together as a band for you know a number of months. So
Mm,
we jumped straight in there, recorded a record, and although I look back and I still like what we did, it was
mm,
not quite as cohesive and organized as the new album. And in between those, we did obviously there was the COVID era, which sort of 18 months to 2 years of not really be able to play live and you know be a proper band. So we kind of did like a more electronic EP, and that kind of brought another kind of dimension to it. So when we were looking at this new record, we're like, we want to go a little bit heavier, because we actually all come from quite heavy backgrounds. So the
mm,
2018 record was probably not as heavy as we wanted to be, but hey, it was where we were at the time. So went a bit heavier, but we also have this whole new electronic side that we've kind of been bringing to the forefront. And both myself and Daz, we have done electronic projects in the past. So we're like, why does it have to be exclusive? We'll just bring everything to Temples on Mars. So we, yeah, that was kind of like we wanted a heavier, we wanted sort of more electronic. So we kind of had an idea, had a vision, and then kind of the rest just fell into place.
mm,
Really had a lot of songs. We probably left off as many songs as we included. We worked a lot of ideas, and although it might sound, yeah, everyone's got different processes. It might sound a bit wasteful to some people. There's definitely benefits of, working ideas as far as you can, without spending too much money and time just to really get the essence. Because some ideas, initially they sound great, but then you actually get down to the details and are probably not as good as you maybe originally thought they were. Other ideas, it's like, no, ideas shit. But if you put like a different vocal line, it might be a standout track. So we did a lot of that,
mm.
and took our time, and we're already assembling the similar kind of idea uh, vault or whatever for the next release, and we're already working through stuff. Stuff's getting either chucked out or put in um, on a daily basis, really. So it's a way that we've figured out that we can work together. So yeah, to answer your question in a really roundabout way, we did have a concept, we did have an approach, and I think we'll use a similar approach going forward.
Well, I don't think it's a secret to anyone that will have heard the album that it clearly this is a showcase of your growth, your expanding music abilities, what you'd learned over the few years and the previous two releases as well. Like it's all there. It's dare I say right now, the defining Temples of Mars release until potentially the next one.
Yeah, I think yeah that this is this is where we are right now. Um, although some of the latest ideas are sneaking forward a bit, and actually, I'm obviously this is the record we have to promote right now, but I'm actually more excited about the new stuff we're doing. It's even I for lack of a better term, it's even more Temples on Mars. We're going more leaning more into our own sound, which is a cool place to be.
I don't think I've ever spoken to an artist, band, you name it, and I've done doing this a long time, a lot of interviews over the years, that immediately doesn't want to start talking about what comes next rather than the thing they got to promote right now. Because ultimately you're creative, right? You're constantly doing something. And while like we talk as if you've just finished this album last week or 3, 4 weeks ago, that's when you finished it. We talk like that when the reality is you finished it a year and a half ago, and yeah, it's a funny way of doing things, but I completely understand it. And actually, you're excited about what comes next. So am I. I can't wait.
Oh, thank you.
You mentioned obviously having such a body, a choice of tracks effectively to pick from, stuff to pick from. Talk about the complexities that came with deciding what this album was gonna be. Why did you choose the tracks that you did? Like, was it like this is what defined the album sound?
Yeah, I think when I listen to a record, I like to have there needs to be some variety, there needs to be dynamics on there. We did have, some tracks that we left off for the reason that we already had another track with a similar tempo, similar structure. It's like, why repeat ourselves? And it's also for the listener as well. I want people to
Mm.
want to listen from start to finish. That's the way I grew up with bands. You know, I'm a big Tool fan. I'd chuck on a Tool record, start to finish, and it's you go on a journey, right? And that
Yeah.
was kind of the idea that we weren't trying to emulate that directly, but obviously in our own way, take people on our own journey. But yeah, and they kind of just like the theme, like musically, lyrically, they kind of all work together. And like I said, we left a few tracks off that might appear on the next, or we might never use them. I don't know, just because they weren't working as a unit.
Nothing ever gets thrown away, does it? It gets put to the side, and who knows when it might resurface, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe parts might get recycled. Maybe the whole thing might appear, with a fresh mix or different guitars or something. I don't know, but yeah,
Mm.
we're open to everything. That nothing's really, some bands have very defined ways of working. We've kind of evolved as we've gone, which is, it's really cool. I like, obviously, I love my bandmates. That we're like brothers, so we really like creating together. Yeah, we have a good time doing it.
Mm. Was there any track that ended up on the final release that almost didn't do it? You had like a big moment where it's debatable of whether or not it fit, or it kind of like could have just dropped off.
There's probably two tracks. One would be which is actually currently the most popular track, which is Safe Word.
Hmm.
Um, I, when I came to the guys with that idea, it was obviously it's more on the electronic side. There was a few like not so sure, but it's actually I think they're now converted. And there was another track called No Love Lost, which wasn't we had 9 tracks and we had a 10th track and we were subbing stuff out and nothing was working. And Daz was like, dude, you need to write a new track.
Okay.
Do I have to? So I went away and that's what I came up with. He's like, perfect, done. Let's work that, idea to the end. And, that obviously made the album as well. So yeah, it could have been quite a different record, really.
Of course, what could have been. It's really interesting as well when you say that about safe word. It's like, okay, you're right. I'm literally just pulled up your Spotify and I'm like, yep, number one, popular, safe word.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, it's
cool.
yeah, you can never predict how it goes.
If people are resonating with the music, whatever track it might be, on the album, that's just a good thing overall.
People are gonna like what they like. All I can do is put it out there. People will pick it up or put it down.
are you kind of thinking of Temples of Mars and kind of like errors, sort of with each record kind of defining like a specific one? Because kind of just looking at the series that we've done up to this point, I'm not saying necessarily that's what you would do going forward, but as we kind of look at where you're at now.
Um, I would say yes. It's
Mm,
funny 'cause I was actually thinking about that the other day because I was having to assemble some stuff for some online stores, and I was like, well, the vibe is completely different, and even you look at our press photos through each era, it's like, yeah, it's not planned, it's just happening like organically. But yeah,
mm.
I mean, there's a lot of artists that have that, it's not like we're trying not to produce the same record every time. So yeah, definitely through natural organic evolution, we are getting errors.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? Because it is so natural. It feels it. It looks at him from the outside, let alone what you're feeling on the inside. But I have to ask you then, if you were to sum up what this record is about this era of Temples of Mars, how would you do that?
What in terms of like the
The feeling, the vibe, just
okay,
how, yeah.
um, yeah, this is like I would say the vibe. Like this record almost didn't see the light of day. Like we've had
Mm,
such a journey to get to this point. Lots of personal stuff going on. Our bass player was, quite sick for, good 12 months and really couldn't do anything. And, he was
mm,
mixing, producing the record. So like progress was very, very slow. So I think, yeah, this record feels cathartic. Like we have almost proven our resilience. Like if we can literally get through this, we can get through a lot of things as a band. So
mm.
and I also feel like massive sense of relief because you spend so many hours, working on something. And like I said, we were like, are we ever gonna be able to release this? So yeah, I'm very happy we got to this point, and feel a lot of gratitude.
Congratulations. You have obviously experienced so many challenges, more than most bands. People should try just when it comes to creating a record and trying to get it out. So it is, as I say, incredibly heartwarming to see it out there and to have this opportunity to talk to you about it as well.
Well, thank you.
So many challenges, but I guess I kind of want to move to sort of like maybe potentially the sort of positives across the creative journey. So kind of looking at the entire creative journey, beginning to end, really. What are some of your favorite moments?
Some of my favorite moments.
Mm,
So for the vocals, my
mm,
I've got a very old friend, Mr. Paul Matthews. So he is my mate from back in New Zealand. He's also, a musician and producer in his own right. He's played some very cool bands, toured the world, but basically he and myself, we work together, and he's basically become my go-to vocal producer. So if I got some stuff, I go to him and, we play around with it until we get it sounding how I want. And, he's kind of like my quality control. So
mm,
yeah, we spent a lot of hours, recording these vocals, working um, together in his studio. So, like I said, we're old mates, so it's always a very fun time. So that's a great memory, a lot of good hours there. And then also some of the synth stuff, if
mm.
people listen hard, they might hear. I'd go to Daz's home studio. There's some afternoons just goofing around with the synths. And yeah, again, making what we thought was cool stuff and having a nice time doing it. And then, also, I enjoy writing drums with Dean. So we'll basically, I don't know, some tracks someone might put down a MIDI demo drum track, and then we'll go and, work that out properly on real drums, and he'll make it actually sound cool. So seeing things evolve from sort of like, a very small idea, I find that really satisfying because you basically creating something literally
Mm.
from nothing. So yeah, they're probably some of the nicer moments.
Yeah. Is it fair to say then, like overall, when you kind of reflect on the experience of creating this album, that it has been a positive one?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's I well, there's things that I could not control that I would have liked to have gone differently, but everything that was within my sort of sphere of control, I probably wouldn't have done anything differently, really.
Mm.
Life is weird. It just has ways of working out. Um, and obviously, normally when there's bad stuff, there's also really good stuff. So yeah, it would have been the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's impossible really as well to kind of look back and see and think of what could have been or what could well, what it doesn't matter. It is what it is, and here we are.
Here we are.
You kind of mentioned thinking about like performing live and a look around, so quiet, obviously in a live front in a moment. What can you kind of tell me about your plans as we look into next year?
Excuse me. Right. So next year, so small detail. We're actually we've had a lot of bad luck with studios. So our last studio got flooded. We had to move rooms. This is all during the album recording. So we've actually just
Mm.
finished kitting out a new studio. So over the next few weeks, we're getting that up and running so we can start having our own rehearsal space again. So the plan is to take this record plus, you know, more of the crowd favorites from the last couple of tracks and get a really awesome live set together and then book some
Hmm.
shows and then take it on the road. We're looking at I can't reveal anything yet, but some more sort of UK European summer festivals. You know, we want to play live for a while because like I said before, I get told off for wanting to do too many things, and one of them is I love playing live. Like any excuse for a gig, I'm there.
Right.
Which is sometimes I don't always choose the best shows, but yeah, with my bandmates, they can kind of rein me in a bit. So I just really want to take it on the road, play some of these tracks live, and have a good time doing it.
Uh, watch this space. Can't wait to see what comes up. I've got an image now because trying to think of the most random show. Because here's the thing: like, even if it was totally insane for bands for you to play alongside on a bill, sometimes that could be a cool thing. But the idea of perhaps you playing with, I don't know, grindcore, black metal bands that you on a whim decided to accept that booking.
Um, yeah, we've been put like, well, we're way more selective these days.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you're starting out, you just want to get the name out there. So yeah, we've played some pretty interesting shows. I think we played one tour in 2018 where literally the dressing room was the disabled toilet of the venue.
Oh.
So yeah, but we've also been on weird mismatches. When someone puts on like a showcase and you end up with like you said, there's like a black metal band, there's someone like us, there's an indie band, and everyone's crowd just turns up, watches their friend's band, then leaves.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've been in all nine circles of musician hell. Don't worry, I know them all.
Oh, I've stood in a few shows like that as well. Incredible. Um, but yeah, no, the year is almost done. I look forward to seeing what comes next year. But when you kind of look at the year as a whole, aside from the album release, because ultimately that is the big, big, big thing, what else has been a highlight for you this year?
With Temples on Mars.
Hmm.
I think the probably the and I get told off, but the working on the new material, I've been really enjoying. That's one thing I really like. So the playing live and the being in a studio, just coming up with ideas and bouncing and working stuff till you literally can't. Well, in your opinion, you can't get it any better.
Hmm.
We've done a lot of that this year, which has been really cool. But then obviously, I think another highlight was sort of when we got the record back. So we had it mastered by Ted Jensen, who's a Grammy winning mastering engineer. He's worked with like massive names. So
Mm.
actually working with him and the back and forth on the mastering of the record, that was you know a moment where it's like, hey, we're working with Ted Jensen.
Surreal.
Yeah, I know, because you never think, it's like massive imposter syndrome, So there's been some cool moments like that. But yeah, we kind of knew that this was coming towards the end of the year, so it's just been sitting tight, working on new stuff, keeping, just maintaining the focus and keeping patient until, we could finally get it out because it felt like a long time to wait from when we got the masters back to when we were ready to release it. It did seem a very long time.
The whole release world now can be an incredibly drawn out process from, announcement to drip feeding singles to content to, of course, what comes after. So you've got your plans in place as well. You're particularly as well leaning towards live. So that's what I think is most important at this stage is knowing that you have all these big and great plans coming up as well. It wasn't just released a record, dead stop, and then work on something new. It's exciting to see what's coming next.
I know, yeah, we gotta, you know, do I hate the term, but that we got to do the whole album cycle, We we got to release it. We got to squeeze every drop we can out of it. We've invested so much in until basically people were just bored of it.
Yep, you're absolutely right. I get that. But that brings me to this question then, and it's always a bit of a difficult one, but I like to sort of get everyone's point of view in this because it's about success, and success is measured in odd ways these days. It's not necessarily about money, it might be about streams for some, or it might be something completely different, and that's what I want to ask you. What do you think success for this record would look like for you?
It's funny you should say that. I was thinking about it the other day, like when I was like 13 years old on my electric guitar, you think you're going to be like the next Metallica or something. You're like, how hard can it be? And then
Mm.
you actually try to do it for real and you realize exactly how hard it can be. And it just keeps getting harder. Obviously, people can record stuff more easy. Now you've got things like Suno, AI, etc. So my bar for success keeps moving down more and more realistic. I mean, if I can, I don't know, if we get like a big success for me would be, if we got a million streams on this record, wow, that would be amazing. I'm not sure
Mm.
how realistic that is. And we did a couple of tours around UK and Europe and sold a bit of merch and had a good time doing it. That would be success for me. And obviously anything more than that is would be great, but I'm not exactly, you know, getting a mortgage based on that.
You're a realist.
You have to be, or else you're just going to be like eternally disappointed. And there was a time in my life where I wasn't that realistic. And that's because I hadn't spent enough time in the music industry um, at that point. But the longer you spend, the more Even I've got friends that are touring the world in you know reasonable sized bands, and even those guys are coming back. Sure, the tours are paid for themselves, but
Mhm.
they don't really have much money in their own personal pocket. Obviously, the bigger the tours, the more costly. People want to see a bigger show, so that every show costs a bit more money, and the crew, um, managers, labels, everyone gets paid before the musician. You are like whatever's left, the musicians get. So
Mm.
I'm very realistic now when it comes to that. So I mean, whatever happens, happens. But yeah, that would be kind of I would class that as successful if I could tick those few things off the box.
I don't think it's a big ask. And well, fingers crossed that in 12, 18, 24 months, we're able to look back in this record and go, God damn, that exceeded expectations. Um, that would be ideal, particularly, of course, as well. By that point, the future of Temples of Mars will be in place too. I'm just going to wrap this interview up with this straightforward question because you've talked a couple of times about it, and I think you're clearly very, very excited about the future uh, of the band, and that's the question. Am I right? You're excited about where you're going next?
Oh yeah, no, I'm very. I mean, I would describe myself as a reasonably positive person, and
Mm.
I'm always looking. Yeah, obviously learn from the past, but I'm always looking forward. Like I said, I really love my bandmates. We have a great time. We have a good working relationship. We can be honest with each other without being hurtful. It's a really cool thing. I like spending time with them. I like working with them. I'm just really excited to see what the third album will actually end up sounding like. But obviously, I don't want to jump forward too far. I want to work this one and see where we can get this one.
And that's what we're doing right here. The Last Ship. It is out now. Get on it, people. Get this up to that million streams that we need. James, you've given me half an hour of your time. Thank you so much for it.
The pleasure's all mine, and I can't believe it's half an hour because I had such a good time. It's gone by really quick.
Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It does help us out. You can find us at gbhbl.com and across all social media platforms. And if you really want to give us a bit of extra support, please consider buying us a cup of coffee over on our coffee page. Thank you.